Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of NCOPD Live, hosted by yours truly, Staff Sergeant Hicks, hashtag the professional SGL. We are back in the building, and we got the special guest with another special guest is also sitting in with him today. Sergeant Major Lambert, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How you doing, man?
I'm doing real good. So, Sergeant Major, I got to tell you, it's been back and forth. I've been trying to get you on the show. Glad that we got you on the show. So first and foremost, if you would like to introduce your lovely wife for us.
Well, I mean, we have a equal partnership in this thing, so I will let her introduce herself.
Okay, so ladies first, and happy belated Mother's Day, ma'am. But go ahead and tell the followers and the listeners about you. How you doing?
All right, my name's Ebony, and been married to this guy too long to remember. We have just recently started our transition as far as family transition is concerned. So 25 plus years of active federal service. And for me, that means being a spouse, being a mother, as well as being the missus to Command Sergeant Major Lambert.
Okay.
Sorry. And she's Lieutenant Colonel in her own right, just in case nobody out there does not know that. So she can stand on her own.
Okay. And so, ma'am, let me ask you this question, ma'am. So where are you originally from?
I was born and raised in California and went to Illinois my senior year of high school and joined the military and been military affiliated and all over the world ever since.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Nice to meet you, ma'am. Officially, finally. I've heard a lot about you. But Sergeant Major, and yourself?
Oh, Mike Lambert, one each, born Augusta, Georgia, 30901.
That's so. Let me just say this now. So this is how Sergeant Major is. He reminds me of Greg Popovich. So you do. When you used to be at the academy and we would like ask you questions, it would just be like blah blah blah. We'd be like, okay, Sergeant Major, you just gave us the drink. Like, where's the meat and the potatoes? Right? I'm empowering you guys, you professionals, to figure it out. So some things never change.
I think that's it. And I leave doors open. If you ask me an initial question, I'm gonna answer your question. But if you got a follow-on question, I ask you a follow-on question. But I would never give you all the answers up front. You're gonna earn this thing.
Okay. So we rocking with it. Okay, so Augusta, Georgia. So I'm gonna ask this: are you a Falcons fan and a Hawks fan?
What?
I actually put on a Falcons shirt just in case somebody out there try to test me.
Okay, so y'all might make some noise this year. I don't know. It just seemed like them. It seemed like them Georgia teams. Y'all get to the edge of the cliff, and then y'all just turn around and go back. Y'all don't want to go all the way.
We'll be okay. We'll be okay.
Okay. So first and foremost, I want to thank each and both of you all for taking the opportunity to come on to the show. I know being at home on this time, with kids and everything, you all could be doing something a little bit more different, but I really do appreciate you all coming on to the show and sharing your ideas. So, ma'am, I am going to tell you this. So you are the first female officer, commissioned officer, to grace this platform.
Wow.
So
well, that's an honor.
We're making history now. Although you all are not a command team, we've had the first ever command team on together, but we have we'll call it the household command team, first ever on NCOPD Live. So welcome you both to the show. So the first thing I want to talk about is the MACP program, the Married Army Couples Program. So by you both being dual military, if you could talk to some of the viewers out there about the pros and the cons about being in the MACP program.
You're welcome.
You go ahead.
All right, I'll start off. So pros and cons are MET-TC dependent, right? It all depends on battle space and timing. So for us, the Married Army Couple Program has worked really well. As far as officer and enlister concerned, did not share earlier, but I have almost 6 years of enlisted time myself. So I was a truck driver and did green to gold. So I got a 2-year gap and then came back in as an officer commission 2001. So 2001 is when I officially came into the program, and we tried multiple times before then when we first got married, and we just were geographically separated and couldn't work it. But once we got branch managers in line with where we wanted to be, we always worked with our G1s or personnel management teams to try and find out a location where we could both go to. So there's going to be compromise. It's going to be him sometime or her or profession, and you have to continuously balance that. So there were times where I got to follow, and there were times where I got to lead, and he would follow. So you really have to work with the system, but understand that there's still some restrictions there. So don't think that you're going to get everything that you want, because it just doesn't work that way. Be realistic about it. But it's a good program, and they do try to keep married couples together, but it is really a individual choice about how much you're wanting to contribute to that conversation to get what it is that you'd like to get out of it.
Mm-hmm. Sergeant Major?
So all that was an officer answer.
Okay.
Now that thing got like TA50.
Okay.
From my foxhole, and I need to put this disclaimer out there, man. Anytime I say something, it's strictly from Command Sergeant Major Lambert perspective. I don't speak for nobody else on behalf of the Army. Nobody. This is me. Pros. For 27 years now, I never had to explain to my wife why I had to get up and leave. I never had to explain to my wife why my phone's constantly going off. I never explained to my wife why I had to work weekends and miss holidays and miss all that stuff, because the expectations were already laid out. She's a soldier. She knows. So I would tell you the best part about it, the pros of being dual military, is just from that platform. There's a lot of stress that I see soldiers go through when they have to explain to their spouses why they have to go to work, why they have to work weekends, why they have to go to the field. I never had to explain any of that, and it's truly a blessing. Cons, we deployed together twice. You know, we both packed up and had to go to Iraq and Afghanistan together. The only thing that probably saved us was we didn't have any kids. Mm-hmm. So on this side of it now, when I now see young soldiers that have kids and they have to pack up their families, one deploy, one come back, one go back, one come back, man, that's brutal. That is really brutal. But the good part about it is when you have that dual military relationship, those dialogues are so simple, man. I think they're so simple, and they're easily understandable. And I think that's one of the best parts about being in the MACP program.
Okay, so ma'am, to you, one of my follow-on questions would be to those young soldiers, whether commissioned or non-commissioned officers, that are just getting into the military Army's couple program, what would be your message or your advice to them about the foundation that's within the home to be able to withstand being separated from your spouse if they can't get you in the exact location? Because I think a lot of people got a misconception about the MACP program that they're supposed to get you right where your spouse is supposed to be. So if you would want to talk to those young soldiers about what the importance of that connection, like Sergeant Major was just talking about, what would be your message to them?
I would say don't be confused with smoke and mirrors, thinking that it will be exactly how you want it. Again, it's communication. So throughout, my husband and I had to talk a lot. You have to trust the system to work, but if you're feeling that it's not, then you have to know also that there are other avenues that you can take to try to make sure that it does work in your favor. It's within a 50-mile radius, so he and I have on more than one occasion been geographically separated, but distance-wise able to commute on the weekends or during the week. However, it worked out that we were in driving distance, but it wasn't every single day that we were together. So there were periods of time where we were separated longer and sometimes shorter. So just consider again that it's within a 50-mile radius, and that is what the Army tries to honor. But sometimes if you are two different services, if you're completely different MOSs, then you might not get as close as you want to be, or you may be restricted to an area that is not ideal for both of you. So we have at least once gone out of the program so that so my husband could take a job, and I went on to school, and I elected to go to Korea and stay in Korea unaccompanied so that we can make it work on the back end. So kind of planning in advance and thinking about what it is that you might want to do next is very helpful when considering location. And don't be bound only by location, consider positions as well.
Okay. Sergeant Major, so with that, so I'm sure, and not just within your marriage, but any other marriage, that it sounds like that there's going to be some sacrifices that has to be made on both parties. Would you like to talk about that?
Sure, yeah. And it's ironic that you bring that up, because I had to have this conversation today. Somebody's got to give, and I'm telling you, I've seen it. And again, I want you got your hand on like the buzzer beeper thing over there, something to keep me in check.
No, I do not, Sergeant Major. We and it's not script. So
that's true, but you know how so I have personally seen dual military couples want to make the E8 list, one don't make the E8 list, and they just dog each other out. Mm-hmm. But y'all live in the same house. I have situations where I have one officer and one is enlisted. Who gets priority? Mm-hmm. When work calls, when you have that dual conversation, who is the priority and who is the person that has to stay home with the kids? Mm-hmm. Somebody at some point, if your relationships and careers stay on a glide path, your careers will bump. But you got to have that conversation, and you got to be prepared for it. Mm-hmm. And I was maxed out as a CSM and a lieutenant colonel. Mm-hmm. We were about to start going into the same competitive job market within the Army in the same fields, because we're both logisticians. Mm-hmm. So had she decided to stay in and would seek becoming a battalion commander, one of us would have had to make a decision, or we would have had to take the other road. You go to drum, I go to bliss. I'm a CSM here, you're a battalion commander there. It's at some point, something's got to give. But I think that's a conversation, a healthy conversation that two adults within four walls of home, they need to have. Because at some point, it's going to crack if not done well.
Okay, wow. So definitely communication between the spouses is definitely a great trait for that foundation being in the Army's couple program. Because I've heard a lot of people say, and this is the stigma that's out there. Oh, the MACP doesn't work. They don't never get me where my spouse is. But if people actually dig into the reg, and ma'am, like you actually said, it's to try to get you within a 50-mile radius. And that's just a guide that they can try to get you into. If they can't get you into that, then you have to take the next best assignment. And like you also say, is that you may have one person that's Army, one person that's Marine, or one person that's Army and Navy, or Navy and Air Force, or so forth. And that takes into consideration too. So that's why I wanted to talk to you both about the married Army's couples program, from two individuals that are both dual military, both logisticians, both still in the Army. How would that look? You can hear from people that was actually in the Army's couples program, and I'm pretty sure it's been some stresses where when you're separated from your spouse and you can't be with your loved ones, can't be with your kids. We got it, but that's just a sacrifice that we have to take. As just like it's a sacrifice when we took the oath. Would you both agree?
Facts.
Yeah.
See, that's all he gonna give. That's all he gonna give. Sergeant Torres says exactly, Command Sergeant Major Lambert. It's hard, but it's doable. Teamwork makes the dream. Marriage works. Okay, so I know that I hope the madam can stick around for this next topic because I do want to hear from an officer's side.
Here you go now. Here you go.
I know, but since I got you both, hold on, let me read this comment. So someone said that's not true. But you can work, but you can't expect if you just get married and soldiers do not meet the time on station rules. The army says, okay, we'll move you because you just got married.
Yeah. So let me take that, Micheal Morgan. You're absolutely right. But what you just did, you opened the gray area. Mm-hmm. When you just got married and you both been on an installation and you know the Army's gonna come for you for 24, 36 months, or if y'all overlap each other, you were on Campbell for 2 years, you decide to marry somebody that just got there for 6 months, you just wrote a check. Mm-hmm. That's a conversation. If you already been on station for 2 years and you see this, I'm just gonna use this example, and you marry somebody that's been there for 6 months, you know the Army's coming. So you get married, you get enrolled in the MACP program. A couple of months later, the Army says, now you're on station for 36 months. This person only been on station for a year. Something's got to give. Something's got to give. That's the gray area that people don't want to talk about. So don't blame the Army. Don't sit back and say, oh, the Army screwed me over. They told me I'm in the MAC program and I'm supposed to be with my spouse. No, they're supposed to help you help yourself. And that's the key. Don't blame the system on Micheal Morgan.
So I'll say so. Someone says real talk, and I absolutely agree. So I appreciate your thoughts on MACP, and hopefully everybody gets an understanding that first and foremost, reading is leading. If something that you don't understand, it's best to read it for yourself. That way you can have an understanding. A lot of people just sit back and they go by what they used to call back in the day these barracks lawyers. And you know, where some people say, well, this worked for me. And keep in mind, barracks law major.
Right now.
Huh?
Barracks lawyers here.
Yeah. And so it may have worked in somebody's favor in one way, but that doesn't mean that it's going to work like that for you. You never know each couple situation, or you know. So think about it. 88 Mike can pretty much go anywhere, but a 68 whiskey can't. So it may be some areas in there where that you know that could come up and that could throw some wrenches in the actual program. So Staff Sergeant Butler says, I would say they try to work with you a lot of times. It's just a conversation with your branch. They worked with me and my spouse. That's my battle buddy 88 November station in Alaska.
Okay.
Also, Command Sergeant Major, soon to be retired Griffin says always ready. So the next topic, Sergeant Major, ma'am. How do we as NCOs keep our seat at the table? But before we even get to that question, Sergeant Major, talk about why it is important for NCOs to be at the table.
Okay, let's do this. Intellect drives everything. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, intellect drives everything. And sometimes we have a stigma that we like to do stuff well and only do that. So we're good at packing containers, man. You tell an NCO, go pack that container, get it, block them bracelets, get it ready. We good. PCIs, PCCs done, trucks, PMCS, before, after. You don't have to talk me through that. After all these years of combat, we are a T as an NCO Corps with that. Mm-hmm. But here's a piece we miss. When we get ready to go to the NTCs, the JRTCs, the Hohenfelds, there's a lot of planning going on. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of planning that's taking place. What do? The officers go do the NDMP process. They go to the big room. Where do the NCOs go? We go to the motor pool. and we sit in the motor pool and we get everything done that we know has to be done based off checklists and timelines. Because we know when them officers come out that room, they're going to come and ask us, is it done? Is it done? Is it done? And we're going to always say, Roger, it's done. But here's the piece we missed. We don't even understand the mission, right? So we pack the buses up. We get on the planes, trains, automobiles. We go across the country. We get JRTC. We go to the chicken coop. We get ready to pop. Miles gear on the truck. Miles gear is up, loaded, everybody ready, PCIs, convoy up, bop, 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 roll. And now we come out the box. As soon as we cross over to that other country and they stop the convoy and say, hey, why are you in my country? Because you're not in Fort Polk no more. You just occupied a foreign territory. Why are you in my country? Oh, I'm just on this convoy. All I know is I got to go up here and make a right and a left. We missed the whole concept. And that's when we start getting ourselves routed out the range. So let's go back to the planning process. When all those plans are being taken place and people are talking about stuff moving, we need to be in the room. Because when we're not at the table, we're on the menu. So they sit there and they start talking about stuff. Here's what we're going to do. Here's the mission. Here's the concept. Here's our purpose. Why we in the region. We're going to occupy our enemies to the north, enemies to the south, friendly to the east, friendly to the west. But we don't know none of that. We just in a convoy. Friendlies, why are you occupying my country? Man, leave me alone, man. I'm just on this route because I got to get over here and set up this TAA. Leave me alone. Because we don't pay attention to the overall mission. Because the first time we get out the wire, something goes awry, officer gets killed. Now I'm the senior person on ground. Do I understand the purpose? From the mission command perspective, if this officer goes down, can I get my troops to the end state? And that's why it's important for us to keep our seat at the table. I stand by for some questions and I put my glasses on.
Okay, ma'am. So I have a question until we see some questions come around. Being from the officer side of the house, especially at that battalion organizational level and some strategic level, if you could explain to the NCOs what it means to have that NCO at the table, like the importance of him or her being at the table.
It's extremely important, but as my husband said, a lot of times there's a timidness of our NCOs. Either it's through education, personal experience, or maybe the officers just weren't pulling them in. So again, I have a different lens that I look through because I have my enlisted time as well. And I incorporated that as part of how I brought my teams together. But wherever I had an officer, I also had an NCO. So I made that a point. And as leaders grow, enlisted or officer, it matters not. If you're enlisted, then you want to push to make sure that you stay with your officer. If you are an officer, you want to pull that NCO to make sure that they're always with you, because it's extremely important to do it as a team. So I kind of pushed that. If you're not there, you do miss out. You miss out on the concept. You don't understand what's going on. If you're not seeing the rehearsals, you could have read the plan, but that doesn't mean that you internalized it until you go through those rehearsals. So even if you weren't part of that planning team, you can get included as part of those rehearsals. So if you didn't see a rehearsal and you know you're about to execute a mission, then you as an NCO should be saying, hey, are we going to do some rehearsals? What's the plan, boss? How are we going to do this? So that way it also helps you to ensure that you are meeting the intent the way that it was pushed down to you from the upper level leaders. And that's at all levels. It matters not if it's platoon or strategic. I did strategic meetings where I would keep asking, where's our sergeant majors at? Because there's not very many senior enlisted that are on the strategic level planning teams. And even in some of those joint commands, they don't have that. So I would ask for my, I had a Navy guy that worked for me in my joint time. And I had a sergeant major that I worked very closely with while I was doing some strategic level stuff and in my previous deployment. So, yeah.
So I would say this. So it's going to kind of get on the level of talent management. Having the right people at the table is extremely important. I think sometimes we just plug and play. And once again, I say this a lot when I'm on the platform. I speak for myself, not my guests. These are the words of the professional SGL, Staff Sergeant Hicks. I understand that what I say, it can cause me consequences, and I stand by everything that I say. I said that to say this, that talent management is important, and having the right people at the table is critical. Because when you have people that are disgruntled, that's just like, oh, I'm just here because, Brent sent me here. I was trying to go somewhere else.
Yes,
how do we mitigate
that you need to pull to the table, because you have to, part of their grooming process is to bring them to those areas that they may not be well versed in, is to help them deal through those challenges of, I don't want to be here. Somebody placed me here. Let me help you grow. So that is where seniors, enlisted or officer, can help as part of the growth process. And talent management is important, because if you always put all the right people at the table, then who's out there executing? All the wrong people?
I mean, I guess the reason I said that is because, we've seen them around the academy. Some people just like, man, I ain't want to be here. I didn't want to come be an instructor. Okay. And so it brings down the morale of the unit, or they're not really a part of the planning process per se, or actually engaged. I remember one time I talked about engaged leadership, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit in the effective communication, but they're not engaged as they should be. And so what normally happens, if I'm wrong, ma'am, correct me, is that the officer lose confidence within that NCO. Not all the times, but more so times, because they feel like, okay, well, hey, if you don't really want to be here, hey, let me go talk to the first sergeant. Hey, move this individual.
Hey, you see what somebody wrote? Can you turn off the subtitles so we can read the comments? I don't know what that means. Okay, drop on.
Yeah. See, I mean, are you talking about at the bottom? That's scrolling by? I don't know what they're talking about.
Okay,
but that's why I asked that question about talent management, is having those individuals there. And I remember at one time when Command Sergeant Major Smalls got there, right when he got there, he spoke to Branch. He said, hey, and he put all of us in, and he was like, hey, I want people here that wants to be here. And so he was talking to Branch, like screening people before they come here. He wanted to look at the packet, do an interview, because let's be honest, everybody can't sit at the table, because like you said, ma'am, everybody doesn't, they may be timid, and then that's still a grooming process, but that comes down at the junior leader level, where we should be grooming them, so when they get ready to come to the table, that they're actually able to go in and sit. So I remember when I first went to JOPES, I took my class to JOPES, and they were talking, they called it Japanese. And my students were like, what? Like, what is he talking about? And this was basic information. RDD, RLD, UDL, how to ULN, unlocking the ULN. And my students was like, what is it? Transcom, SDDC. And these are just basic acronyms. But if the NCO doesn't know that, we're talking about having the right people at the table, because it's my opinion that everybody can't sit at that table. Like, I can't sit and go in Sergeant Major's office and do your job. I'm probably like, what? Well, what do I do? Because I haven't been groomed at. Now, could I probably go in and tap dance and fake the funk? I probably could. But I believe that's why talent management is important when we're talking about having individuals at the table.
Okay. Good answer. I accept.
Okay, so I thought, once again, man, Sergeant Major, he's always just, don't be Greg Popovich tonight. I know you got a wealth of knowledge.
because what you're saying is spot on. I would never, go against your thoughts because I know the role that you play out there in that academy. I know what y'all are cooking out there, man. And I know the reach that y'all have through that position. And then, this platform, which I've never done anything like this in my life. But I understand what you're saying. So you can look at it from a talent management perspective. You can look at it from who should be there and who shouldn't be there. Like a lot of times when I talk to the side of the fence I'm on now, when I'm talking to young soldiers, I ask them a question. We deploy, we get somewhere, and now it's time to set up a perimeter. I need sandbags filled. I need concertina wire put up. I need security, high angles. I talk them through the whole concept. So I say, okay, if I tell you I need 100 sandbags filled, and then I walk back over to the top for the MDMP process, what type of leader do you think I am? Or do you think as a whole command sergeant major, I should be standing out here with you filling these sandbags? What do you think? What do you think the answer I usually get?
They feel like you should be out there helping them do the sandbags.
That's right. Typical soldier answer.
Mm-hmm.
You told me to fill these sandbags. Why are you not out here helping me fill these sandbags? Facts. But here's what my lieutenant colonel, my battalion commander would say. So I mean, if you out there filling sandbags, I probably don't need you. Because you're supposed to be at the table with me. You're supposed to be here helping me. You're supposed to be beside me, helping me get through this. CSM at the point of contention. That's where you're supposed to be. But you ask a soldier tell you I'm supposed to be out there with them filling sandbags. And the moment that I'm not out there filling sandbags, I'm a dirtbag. Oh, that's something, he toxic. Oh, right him off the range because that guy there, he don't care for soldiers. Mm-hmm. They don't understand where I'm supposed to be. So that can go back to the talent management perspective. And what you said, maybe the right person at the table, but sometimes I may have to say, you know what? Morale is low. Something's going on. We can't advance past this checkpoint. I probably need to be out there. Ma'am, hold it down. Because I got to get out there and see what's going on. Mm-hmm. But to go back to the beginning part, the only way you would know that is you got to have enough intellect to have a conversation. That's where it starts. Mm-hmm. You just can't walk around with a coffee cup talking about him done good. Mm-hmm. Him done good don't help nobody. So then we can go into this next conversation about should NCOs have college degrees. I've heard people on both sides of the fence. We don't care about college degrees. You need to work on your craft, work on your profession. Okay, I accept that. If you're a mechanic, should you be the best mechanic in the Army? Yes. If you're a supply sergeant, 88 November, 88 Mike, should you be the best? Yes. But the moment that somebody tell you to go and write that full-page paper in MLC, and next thing you know, you have a cardiac arrest, and you done just tapped out because you took no time to self-develop yourself based off the NCO 2020 strategy and now the update that's coming out. You never took the time to self-develop yourself because you just want to be the guy. Okay, not a problem. You just keep on being that guy, and you will never get invited to the table. I'm telling you. What you got? Go.
So, ma'am, I'm gonna defer this question to you. So, your thoughts on how do you get the officers? How do you get the officers involved in the planning process when they are TPU reservists? I'm really gonna listen to this because I'm going to an ACRC unit in Beaumont. So, I'm definitely want to hear this answer.
So, I will say my experience with reservists and National Guard that are activated, those that are doing their annual training have a lot more time to be part of that process. Reservists have a very unique challenge in that they only get like 1 week in a month and 2 weeks out the year that they do training. So a lot of things that they have to do is going to be on their own. But at any time, I would advise that they collaborate with one of those other organizations that are close to them, an active duty organization that is near, or do some outreach, because through their schooling, they may have already interacted with other service members to see how to connect to the right resources so that they can narrow that amount of time that's going to be needed. So they won't necessarily get all that planning time. It's a lot harder for them, but there are ways to do it. They just have to be a little bit more think outside the box in order to make that happen, and know that they're not going to be given extra time for that. So it's going to be that personal development and that personal initiative that's really going to get them there.
Okay. So the initial question, we talked about the importance of being at the table, having a seat at the table. How do we remain seated at the table?
Relevancy, man. You gotta stay relevant. Every time you invent one thing, you better go back and invent two.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you get your officer, your counterpart, whether that's a platoon leader, a captain, lieutenant, colonel, I don't care, general to 4-star. When you do one thing, you better come back with two. Now you do two, you better come back with three. Because the first time you stop, that next person that's standing right over there, ready to snatch you. I tell people that all the time. This is a cutthroat world, man. It's cutthroat. And and one of the things that people start, they get comfortable. And the moment you get comfortable, I tell people all the time, every time you execute a right face, there's somebody standing behind you ready to snatch you out the way. Because they're already looking at you saying, I can do this way better than you. I got this. Move. So you keep your seat at the table by, once you understand the commander's intent guidance, or not commander, but platoon leader all the way up. Once you understand what they want, you better get out there, invent, be innovative. Ain't that on the back of the NCOPD?
Yes, it is.
Somebody put that on the back of NCOPD. What? So you got to go out there, crack the code. Once you crack the code, you better figure out how to crack it 2 more times, or you're going to be removed from the table. That's how it works.
Okay. So, Sergeant Major, within the manning cycle, how can NCOs be more transparent to be chosen for those influential positions at the table?
Oh, man, this thing is wide open now. It's wide open now. This ain't 1992 when I came in the Army.
Mm-hmm.
This thing is wide open. This OML, man, they are calling NCOs directly, asking them where they want to go.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What? Game changer. Poof. Head just blew up. You know, and the part about the OML perspective is that if you are at a certain ranking or at a certain platform, they're going to call you and tell you, in order for you to not be in this same ranking next year, I must now talent management you and put you in a position for growth.
Mm-hmm.
Mind blowing. Mind blowing. Mind blowing. You can't sit back now and say that the Army was out to get you. You can't sit back now and say I was never given no opportunities. They're calling people directly and asking them,
where do you want to go?
Where did that come from? 27 years, I never saw that. So this thing is wide open now. It is free chicken if you want to be great. All you got to do is step up and say, hey, I want it. Because they're giving it to you. But the people that don't want it, probably the ones that's finna tap out. Because they want to stay at them same duty stations. They don't want no challenging positions. They just want to be comfortable. And the first time you try to break them out of that little cycle of being comfortable, they'll check out on you. I'll just leave it there.
Ma'am, would you like to add? I knew that question was going. So I will say this, and Mr. Robinson, yes, he was just at the academy. I would say this: relevant. I remember when I was a young detachment sergeant before I came to the academy. I set all the junior enlisted down the day before my change of responsibility, and that's when General Milley had just came on board, and his number one priority was readiness. It was readiness, and a lot of people think that readiness is equipment. No, that's you as a soldier. That's your family. That's your finances. That's your equipment. That's your weapons. your PT readiness. And I remember telling them, I said, hey, tomorrow I'm not going to have a lot of time during my speech. So I want to tell y'all what I want to tell y'all today. And I said, if y'all don't remember anything after I'm gone, you need to remain ready, because when your number is called, if you're not ready to go, you're going to miss your seat at that table. I said that to say this. Being that I was coming to be an instructor and I was just your detachment sergeant, when you were ready to come to school, who do you think you probably should have reached out to? If it was me, I would have called my old NCO. Hey, you're still at the academy. Hey, who do I need? I'm trying to get in school. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do this. Okay, hey, let me plug you to this person at HRC. This is who you need to talk to. But a lot of individuals, they don't remain ready. So when they get that assignment or that seat at the table, they can't sit there because they're not ready to be at that level. And so I think readiness and relevance, it goes hand in hand. Not going based off of what somebody would tell you. My battle buddy Staff Sergeant Cherry, I was a reader before I came to the academy. I was. But Sergeant Major, ma'am, let me tell you, when I got to the academy, when I tell you he challenged me to read even more, because now I was in TRADOC. Yeah. So I knew a little doctrine from the Force Com world. But when you get to TRADOC, it's certain things you got to know, like how to conduct yourself with an IET student. Hey, private, stop walking and talking on your cell phone and move out. All that knife hand and what are you doing will get an NCO in trouble. But had I not read that and just based off of what somebody told me and I didn't know it for myself, it could cause me to miss out on certain assignments. You ever heard the statement, relevance is so important because you're always interviewing for your next position. Yeah. So if you don't remain relevant about these things that you should know as a non-commissioned officer, you could get skipped over those actual positions or those seats at the table.
Well, a simplified way to say it is always conduct yourself as though you are in an interview, because every engagement that you have is a possible interview opportunity. You never know if that platoon leader that you just ran across somewhere at the PX, you didn't know who that person was, but that might be the future battalion commander for you. And you may be sitting up against someone else, and then that person says, oh yeah, I remember you. You're a real jerk, Yeah. You burnt that bridge and you didn't even know it. So not to say that you have to walk on pins and needles, be yourself, but you want to present yourself and you want to make sure that people know that you know stuff, especially as an NCO, especially if you're energetic and you want that next opportunity. You want to make sure that you let people know that.
So General Millie was once my brigade commander, and then he came back to be the 3 Corps commander at Fort Hood.
Right.
I never would have thought. Now I got to be careful because there's some Pentagon officials that watch my page. I never would have thought that he would have been the chief of staff, yet alone the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. But he was my brigade commander, and I've interacted with him on a couple of occasions, like, walking by and not just saluting, but actually engaging the conversation. Now, I'm pretty sure he probably doesn't remember. He's a 4-star general now, and that was years ago. But it goes like what you say, man. You never know who you're sitting next to. The next Sergeant Major of the Army could be sitting in that audience or could be sitting up on that panel as a first sergeant. And how you conduct yourself, it could hold weight. It could carry a lot of weight. I gave more NCOPD as a warrant officer. Wow. Let me read. Okay, let me see. I gave more NCOPD as a warrant officer than I ever did as an NCO. And the senior NCOs in the company and battalions let me do it. So when we're talking about seats at the table, how can we make these young NCOs relevant when senior NCOs are not going out of their way to matter? It is easy to check privates. How are we checking NCOs?
Man.
Now, I don't know if they know who they asked this question to, but go ahead.
That's tough, man. That's a tough one. Chief, thank you for sharing. But I'll tell you, when we go back to this thing called a creed, officers will have maximum time to accomplish their duties. They will not have to
accomplish mines.
So that entire platform needs to be routed off the rank. I'm telling you now. The guy that I really respect, and I'm not in the business of dropping names. That ain't my thing. But just last week, I got a email from Command Sergeant Major Battalion. And the email simply said that somewhere along the line, they spotted a warrant officer marching soldiers. And he didn't say nothing. He just said, hey, get out there and fix it. And to me, that was mind blowing. So, I jumped up. Get hit, I am. I'm a little different.
No.
I'm a little different. So I went out and, I tried to do some research to make sure that didn't happen in my formation. But if that unit or whatever they're doing, I'm not saying that you can't add to the NCOPD, because trust me, sometimes dialogue goes a long way from different platforms. Henceforth, that's why my wife is sitting here right now.
Mm-hmm.
But to say that you're leading and the other NCO just letting you do it and no buy-in, no nothing, that just made my hair stand up a little bit, because I really don't understand that, and that shouldn't be happening.
So I'm gonna take it a little bit deeper. We're talking about seat at the table. A seat at the table, it could be something as small as, and I know this ma'am, I need you to keep him calm, because he's gonna remember when I say this.
No.
We getting ready to go on the NCO Academy run. All the NCOs that know how to call cadence get to the left side of the formation. Wait, we ain't got no privates out here. This is NCOs. Why we do not know how to call cadence? That's a seat at the table. Like, every NCO should be fighting to get out there. And that is a pet peeve of mine. We always ask that question. All the NCOs that know how to call cadence get to the left side of the formation. That's something. So when you don't have NCOs out there calling cadence, and this is nothing against my warrant officer followers. I love y'all just like I love my commissioned officers. But when you have warrant officers out there calling cadence, I'm like, no. I was a young detachment sergeant at Stewart, and I got my battle buddy. He's retired now. My battle buddy is here with me in the house now as I speak. I came home and lieutenant, we went on a company run with the commander. So I'm running up there beside the commander. I'm running, and one of my high-speed NCOs at that time, she was Sergeant E5 Butler, Sergeant Bohannon. I knew they was gonna get out there and rock the mic. Staff Sergeant Patterson, now Sergeant First Class Patterson, and this lieutenant got out there to call cadence while we were running down the street. And when I tell you that did something to me, now there was a time and a place to do it. We was in front of the company, and had I addressed it at that time, I probably would have been disrespectful. We got back to the company. I pulled the officer to the side with his counterpart, female officer. I said, hey, sir, whatever you do, as long as I'm here and I'm sitting in this seat, don't ever get out there and call cadence again. That's not your. One of my battles said they remembered it because I told her the same story. So whatever you do, as long as I'm here, don't ever get out there and call cadence again. But then I had to go back and I had to check my NCOs for even allowing it to happen, because everybody in the formation that was enlisted wants to be an NCO should have known how to call cadence. Well, if it's something that if you want to sit at the table, like you say, man, you should know what you're talking about. So I don't know if you remember that, Sergeant Major, but we always ask.
Oh yeah.
We don't got no privates. We don't got no privates in the formation. And that's one of the things. All the NCOs that know how to call cadence get to the left side of the formation.
But there's also knowing and wanting. So some people just don't want to do it. But that goes back to the laziness of someone not wanting to show their pride, their morale, their esprit de corps for the organization that they're representing. That's why you call cadence. You energize everybody else with that. It's not so much about you as an individual.
Okay, so wanting and knowing. If I was to ask, which one is more important? Wanting or knowing?
I think wanting, but someone else can think differently.
So I'm gonna tell you why.
Shoot up, but you give it a try and you have heart. People are gonna laugh at you, but I bet you your battle buddy's gonna pull you to the side and be like, "Hey, let's go work this out." So next time when you're out there, you're on fire and everybody's gonna know it.
So, ma'am, let me tell you why I agree with you. I'll take wanting over knowing any day, because if I get a person out there let's just say that they're not good at calling cadence, but they'll get out there. I can nurture that seed. I can nurture that to try to produce something great down the line, versus a person that just know it and don't want to do it and just sit on it. What does that do for the organization? And that person that wants to do it but don't really know how, it may drive somebody else to want to do it again. I think sometimes, like when, well, that might not be a good analogy, but so whenever my parents told me to do something, I didn't want to do it, I have did it. I got to be careful because I know my mom and them watched it. There was times I go out there, they tell me to cut the grass on a Saturday because I didn't want to do it. I have cut it. I did. I have cut it. But when I got older and I had my own house, I understood the importance of, I want this done right. Mm-hmm. So I would definitely take somebody who's wanting to do it versus somebody that knows how to do it but don't want it.
Yeah, and really, I think that's the success of anything, man. Again, I don't know how. I know we planned this a while back, but man, today, all these topics are really coming into perspective for me. I got a company that I got to put somebody in the seat for a little while, and I reached out to people and asked people to step up for an extra level of responsibility. I need you. And ain't too many times that somebody gonna call you and say, "Hey, I need you." Based off talent management, based off of I see something in you, I need you. I call you, and then you decide that you don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I can easily pull the trigger and tell you to do it. Mm-hmm. I can do that, but nah. Because if you don't want to do it, you're going to come over here and you're going to fail. Because you're not going to give me that 100% that I need to keep an entire company moving. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bypass you. And I'm going to go get somebody else that's probably less talented than you, that probably doesn't have the same amount of drive as you. Mm-hmm. But here's what I'm going to do for that person. I'm going to pull that person forward. And when I finish shining them up, they're going to probably end up putting you at parade rest. Facts.
That's the difference between, ma'am. I appreciate you. That's the difference between wanting and knowing. I'll take a want over somebody that know any day. So before we move on to the last topic, does not calling cadence make you an ineffective NCO?
No. I don't really, John Moran, I don't think that's what it was. But is it a part of your professional tool that you should always have primed, lubed, and ready to shoot? Yes. So if you're weak at it, you need to get out there and, get a small cohort of people that you trust and say, "Hey, battle, y'all want to run with me? Let's go and let me call cadence to y'all." Because sometimes when you have those mass formations and that's when you say everybody can call cadence, come to the left. My experience is the ones that automatically go to the left, those your savages. Mm-hmm. Those are ones those the McMillans. You know what I'm saying? The jokers run 2 miles in 2 minutes and 32 seconds. Mm-hmm. those are the ones that's always gonna go left because they're good at it. Then you have the ones that want to try, that ain't like, I ain't gonna get out here and embarrass myself. So no, it doesn't make you ineffective, but you should always have that in your toolkit. So if you're weak on it, self-development, improve yourself. That's all I'm saying.
And I would agree to that. So if I gave you the illusion that that's what the point I was making, no, that's not, because I don't believe that you not being able to call cadence makes you ineffective. If I would take a person that's outstanding in motivating soldiers and troops another way, of course. But I agree with Sergeant Major. That is something that you should have and just have it locked and cocked in the chamber. And when your number is called, get out there and make it happen. Because we talk about total soldier concept. And so I'm probably going to give some hints away for students that's going to come back to school whenever we're done with COVID. When we speak on holistic soldier, the total soldier concept, when we're out there running on Fridays, I'm looking to see if you're going to motivate everybody else. I'm looking to see if you're going to get out there and you're going to call cadence. I'm looking to see if you're going to volunteer to get up there and give PRT. And if you don't meet that and somebody else did it, why would I not give that to that other individual? So like Sergeant Major said, it is something that we need to polish on as NCOs, because that's our bread and butter motivation. And I love calling cadence. The cadence challenge is coming whenever this COVID is over, but we do have a cadence challenge on NCOPD Live where you can post your video and you can showcase your talent, and we have trophies that we send out to those individuals that won. Sergeant Major, you may not be able to participate in that, but
done, son.
The last conversation, the last topic, and I want to talk about this on both sides. I want to talk about the personal side and the professional side.
With me,
well, if the ma'am, you have to go. I understand if you do. Okay.
Well,
okay.
I give 5 seconds of shine, and she just took the whole session.
Well, see, so you know why? Because she understands her place at that table.
Okay. Fact. All right. What's the last topic? What we got?
We got effective communication. So
she could be here for this. So let me hear. Lay it out.
Okay. So effective communication, I think we can all agree that is very important. So I would like one of you all to talk about why effective communication is important in the household as relates to the military. And then I would like somebody to talk about why effective communication is important from a leadership position. I'll let you both decide who wants to take which one.
They kind of overlap, but I'll take household.
Okay.
I don't know where I'm supposed to be unless somebody comes home and lets me know where I'm supposed to be and when I'm supposed to be there. So for me, it's often trying to make sure that I understand what the plan is, either for the next day or for the next week, because we have a son, so we got to deconflict appointments and who's going to be here to watch, or if something's going on with the house. So we really do have to communicate what things are going on, and don't assume that just because something is on the books somewhere, wrote it on a calendar or sent you a calendar invite, that went to memory. So it's constant, and it's the only way that we can make sure that things are balanced in the household, and that will de-escalate any kind of argument. It will turn it into just a conversation versus something else. It will keep tensions down in the house. It will make sure that we're all just, able to go through the day and the schedule without having to feel like one or the other is overstepping because something wasn't known. Now, there's times when you just don't know everything, or something comes up at work that may interfere with something that was already planned. And then we talk about it and we work through it. So it's constant. So it makes a difference in how the day is going to go. And never go to bed mad. That's just, we don't really go to bed mad. We say, I love you, and we get a good night kiss every night before we go to bed.
Okay.
That works.
know he. So man, one thing I noticed about Sergeant Major, like you be tough, but really, you have a soft side. You can be.
No, hard as woodpecking lips. Hard as woodpecking lips. Don't get it twisted. So effective communication in the military, and I would tell you, because I'm an emotional wreck, and that shouts out to my boss, because, well, my previous commander, because she watched me. She keep texting me every 5 minutes. You have to have it. Communication is a key to everything, man. And this is coming from an introvert, extrovert. Like, I'm all jacked up.
Introvert, extrovert.
Military, undiagnosed bipolar. I can walk out the door, and as soon as I walk out, I'm an extrovert for hours on it. But as soon as I take the uniform off, man, I'm 100% introvert. Like, I'm one of the most quietest people you will ever see. And when I come home, I don't talk a lot.
What?
Two totally different people.
Man, I was going to say, ma'am, I need you to validate.
Yeah, two totally different people, man. It's a facade. And here's what I would tell you, I think it may be true about a lot of people, especially senior leaders. I think we're all that way, because the Army makes you an extrovert because you have to, but it's so draining on you that as an introvert, when you get home, you just crash. So I'm gonna put this. So all these people out there listening, I'm just gonna throw this out there and just understand: if you go home, if you get off every day, and when you get home, you are 100% exhausted, like done, you are probably an introvert, because it takes so much energy to be an extrovert all day that when you get home, man, you go down. And when I come home, I'm gonna tell you, I crash, man, and I crash hard because of all the stuff I put in. So I'm not a very good communicator as Mike Lambert. Command Sergeant Major Lambert, you talk to him, I'll roast you all day.
Oh yeah,
I will roast you all day. I will talk to you all day. We can go through it from top to bottom, A to Z. But when I get home, I'm really not. And I think sometimes you have to figure out the balance between that. And I'm just gonna stay right here in the middle because, again, my wife is sitting here, so I would like the communication, topic to kind of stay in the middle, because I can talk straight military communication. I think that's simple. All these NCOs that's on here, I think they got that piece. They got that. I think everybody understands that. But I think the gray area, that line that the communication piece thrives off of so much, the piece that's missing is the fact that you got to be able to, or we can go back to the MAC piece though. You got to be able to understand yourself. And I think once you understand yourself and how your communication drives your four walls, then I think everything else will work out, man. I think it'll work out. Communication is key. My battle buddy for life, Lieutenant Colonel Scott. Shout out Lieutenant Colonel Scott, Clarice. She's probably gonna text me in a second. We were excellent, man. We were excellent communicators. It took us a little time to get there, but we would sit at tables, and I can't tell you how many times we would knock on wood. I can't tell you how many times we would finish each other's sentences. Because that's just a part of an effective communication across the organization. But I probably can't sit here and tell you how many times I knocked on wood with my own wife. And we've been together for 25, almost 26 years. Because the communication piece is totally different. And I think you just kind of have to really, really figure out how to work on that, man. And I think that will help a lot.
It sounds like you look talking about balance.
Okay, we can go with balance. We can go with that.
Okay.
I accept.
Well, listen, ma'am, Sergeant Major, I appreciate you all coming on. So, but before we go, if you would have Any other closing remarks, words of encouragement? Man, we're going to start with you.
I'm just thankful that you guys let me sit at the table. And I am a proud spouse and a proud service member, and I'm really glad that I got an opportunity to speak to the community at large, and just share some of my thoughts. But I'm available, so I mean, I answer questions, I refer people. I have no problem with that. I think that a lot of people fail because they fail to network. Network happens sometimes very genuinely, and sometimes you got to reach for it. But if someone tells you that they make themselves available, then it doesn't hurt to send them a note and say, hey, I need some help, or hey, just wanted to check on you and see how you're doing. So we all need that sometimes. And
okay,
appreciate it.
Thank you. Sergeant Major, any closing remarks?
I don't know. So first of all, you got me from under my rock. Good job. I'm telling you that
it was hard. At least, listen, y'all, it was hard.
Yeah. That's this is because this social media thing. I just knew I was gonna come on here and get roasted. And I'm like, I'm sitting here, I got pen and paper out, man. I was ready. I was gonna write your name down, and tomorrow you was gonna get an email from me. How dare you? No, so I say this all the time, and I'll just throw it out there. You got to play out the character in your book. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. COVID, life. Don't know if it's, what war might pop off at any given second. There's a lot of stuff going on. But I always tell my soldiers, always play out the character in your book. The day you were born was chapter 1. And how old you are now is a new chapter. Mm-hmm. So regardless of what you're going through, regardless of where you are now, your book has already been written. There's a beginning and there's already an end. You're just a character in the book. So every time that you run up against something that you don't like, the first thing you want to do is try to go against your book. But your book's already been written. So now you got to stay in that place, understand that it happened for a reason, and you're probably going to be around for the next chapter to override whatever action that was. So stop fighting it. If they call you and tell you, hey, we need you to go to Fort Drum, first thing you want to do is pick up the phone and say, I'm not going to Fort Drum. But you probably should have went to Fort Drum. So I'll give you a perfect example of that. I didn't want to go to Germany. And I was, kind of fighting. I wanted to go to Hood. But HRC would not send me to Hood. And I'm like, how are you going to sit here and tell me you don't have any 92 Yankee? Yeah, I wanted to go. You don't have any 92 Yankee E7 positions on the entire Fort Hood. You got to be kidding. We ain't got none. But we'll send you to Germany. And not only are we going to send you to Germany, we're going to send you the bomb holder. I said, okay. So this is what we're going to do? Not a problem. Send me to Germany. Send me the bomb holder. I never been to Germany before. I'm walking around asking people, hey, I'm going to Germany. Hey, I'm going to Germany. Like, oh, you going to Germany where? Yeah, I'm going to bomber. Ooh. Oh, man, who you pissed off? They send you the bomb holder. Yeah, they send me the bomb holder. Get the bomb holder. Best assignment I ever had. Best assignment I ever had. And it opened up a lot of opportunities for me. So next thing you know, I go to another job, success, boom, bam. Next thing you know, I'm headed to USASMA. Because I was trying to fight my book, but didn't understand that my book was already written. So I would tell all of y'all out there, that's listening, you may not like what's going on right now, but you have to understand that you're just a character. Lean back, take a deep breath, because your next chapter will come, and I guarantee you, what's supposed to happen, it will happen, because you just got to play the character in your book, and you'll be blessed.
So before I let you both go, I guess bomb hold is called. Is it called The Rock?
Yeah.
Okay, I see a lot of people saying The Rock. The Rock.
Yeah.
Well, ironically, he was in Strasbourg and I was in bomb holder, so he didn't really have to stay on the rock and work. but he did reap the advantages of being in that area.
Okay.
So again, Married Army Couple Program at work.
Okay.
Radius, right?
Roger that, ma'am. Well, listen, so my closing remarks is I would like to thank again both of you for taking time out of your schedule to come on to the platform and share your thoughts and your views about Married Army Couple Program. How do we keep our seat at the table and the importance of having our seats at the table, and then also effective communication. I like the way you styled this, Sergeant Major. Like, there's some things that we should know as NCO. We got that part, but finding that balance, that gray area, and dealing with it from that perspective, I really do like it. So I appreciate you both. If I had coins, I would give you all coins. I could give you all quarters. Quarters are sentimental to me. So, so when you come on my show, you never know.
I'll see you soon.
Say again?
I said I'll see you soon. I'll take it.
I know you. I know you will. Sergeant Major. I know you will. But I do appreciate you both coming on to the show tonight. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was another great session of NCOPD Live with yours truly, hashtag the professional SGL and Lieutenant Colonel and Command Sergeant Major Lambert. I see a lot of people hashtagging Team Lamberts. As always, before we in any NCOPD Live, if you see something wrong and you fail to do something about it, then you have just created a new standard. And at the end of the day, the issue is never with you, but the issue is always with the standard. This is yours truly, Staff Sergeant Hicks, hashtag the professional SGL, with my special guest, Team Lamberts, signing off. Y'all have a good evening.